Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm on now. So, welcome to Alpine Garage Sports, folks. Post game for the Kansas game. And I think a lot of us are just kind of got the wind knocked out of us, I guess is what you could call it. Such a great, promising. Okay, let me back up just a second. The title of this video or of this live is "Thank You, Coach." So, what we're not going to do, or what I'm not going to do, you guys can do it all day long, and we'll talk about the keys to the game and the areas that we lost the game and all those kinds of things because it is football and we play football to win and we lost. And this was a pretty big loss. So we will talk about that. But first, I want to call out the fact that we are holding our breath on this game because we knew that we were going to potentially, and it's not, it's not completely out of the picture yet. I think in a live just recently, like within the last 15 or 20 minutes, I said goodbye Arlington because I feel like the Big 12 championship has basically just slipped away from us right now. I have not done the math on that yet because we have games to play today to find out what it looks like for the Big 12 championship. I mean, it still looks like it's kind of wide open a little bit maybe, and we still have a potential possibility, but there's only one set of games left after this week. And so a lot has to happen. A lot has to happen. But so I'm not going to say that we're out of the Big 12 championship, but this was our shot, and we weren't able to connect on this one. And it stings and it hurts. And this, lots of videos, lots of us having discussions back and forth about, hey, we need a better run game and we need to, control the ball better and we need to limit the penalties. And, specifically, we need to have Shador get it out of his hands a little faster. And we need to, create less pressure for Shador. And that is over the entire year, not the last 3 or 4 games, which looked much better. And we were on a trajectory like this, like we are looking up. But then again, we just play 2 teams that are also looking up. Kansas State is looking up. Not Iowa State. I'm sorry. Kansas was looking up. I mean, Kansas started out terrible, and now they're world beaters, right? Same thing with not Iowa State, Arizona State. They started out not very good, and now they're world beaters. So, and we were on that trajectory as well. This game has really taken us back. But the reason why I put the title of this live as "Thank You, Coach" is because before, I started to lose my mind after the first quarter. I realized at this point, if we lose this game, we're going to be 9-3 if we win next week. And I do think that we will beat Oklahoma State at home. I don't think that's going to be much of an issue. I mean, they're a good team, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's going to be much of an issue. So I'm calling it 9-3, and a 9-3 season with last year being a 4-8 season, with the year before that being a 1-11 season. We've all been through that. We know that. We know that math. I mean, that's freaking phenomenal, guys. It really is. And before I lay down the railroad tracks and let the train run over me and then back up and then run over me again, if at the beginning of the season I was thinking 8-4 would be a very successful season, now we're staring straight down the barrel of 9-3, a major bowl game, and we have a brand new QB that's coming next year that could continue to carry the Sanders legacy forward at the University of Colorado. And we have some phenomenal receivers coming. We have some defensive players that are world beaters coming. The portal hasn't even opened yet. A 9-3 Colorado is going to get what we need, the siphon we need to be a major contender next year for the playoffs. So that's why I wanted to stop for a freaking moment, guys, okay? Stop for a moment and say, man, 2 years ago, I would have never dreamed of 9-3. Never would have dreamed it. And if someone had told me a new coach is going to come in and you're going to be 9-3 in 2 years, I would freaking carry that guy on my shoulders across the country. Okay. From sea to shining sea, man. I would do it. And in this particular case, it is Coach Prime, and I would do that, man. I would do that for this guy. 9-3 is phenomenal. We lost this game in the way that we didn't want to lose it. That's the hard part. That's the hard part. But not before we start breaking this game down here in the next couple of minutes do we want to say thank you, Coach Prime. Thank you for coaches. Thank you for the players. Thank you for the seniors on the team. It doesn't mean the season's over, guys. We still have games to play. But I need to center myself a little bit and just remember what we are thankful for. And for right now, I'm thankful for the Colorado Buffaloes. And the season that we are having this year is just absolutely remarkable. And we still have a lot to do, right? We still have a lot to do. So let's get to the chat now that I'm done gushing about our coach. And the first comment is from MJ. MJ gave me a LOL, and I believe that was basically from my thank you, coach speech, or my thank you, coach title. MJ, I love you, man. I got that immediately, and I laughed about it before I even went live. But I appreciate you very much. Still proud of the team. No excuses. We lose. That's correct. King Tony Titan says offensive coordinator's trash. They were unprepared. Yeah, you could say, King Tony, you could say that the offensive coordinator is trash and that the play calling was terrible. But, man, this has been every single game, guys. It really has. I mean, our offensive game plan has been mundane at best, probably, relying on Shadur to be a miracle and Travis to be a miracle and Wester to be a miracle and Shepard to pull a rabbit out of his hat every once in a while on offense. We've been relying on that, and we've been warning that when you do that, at some point when you start playing teams that can break down film and understand what happens, and you do the same thing over and over again, you're going to get exposed. And in this game, we got exposed, right? So you can say that about the offensive coordinator, and you wouldn't be wrong. Okay, you wouldn't be wrong. But in this particular case, too, the defense completely couldn't handle Kansas, and this is rare for us this year, man. Our defense has been really good. And for a 4-6 Kansas to come in here and make our defense look like they were ill prepared, that's a lot to take. So I don't know, man. As much as I hate to say that our offense had some, lost us the game in this regard, man, our defensive play was not our best. And I would even say this, maybe it wasn't even our Uncle Buck just said BYU just lost. So there you go. So, things are, I don't know if that BYU losing is a good or a bad thing. I knew we wanted BYU to win in order to seal a Big 12 championship bid. But now that we lost, man, I don't know. I think we need every freaking person to lose. We need everybody to lose. We need Arizona State to lose. Definitely. I'm pretty sure we need Arizona State to lose. But my point is this, I don't know that it was so much our defense as it was that Kansas just was prepared. Kansas knew what they were doing. They came out. It was basically a 2-man, 3-man show on offense. And they did exactly what we were talking about in past weeks, get the ball. Hold on a second. What am I saying here? Okay, yes. Run the ball. Own the clock, run the ball, right? Use the tight end. The tight end in this game was a big deal for Kansas. Kansas used their number 45 over and over and over again and was just eating chunks. And then you had Neal out there. Neal couldn't be stopped. He was a force to be reckoned with. Jalen Daniels was very hot tonight, and they used a lot of different schemes to get our defense off. And so I think less I would say that our defense was a problem, and more I would say is that Kansas did their homework and they were ready to come out and play. Yo-Yo says it seems like CU was just not ready for this game. I mean, a team that went 4-6 dominated us. It's hard to watch, yes. But football, in a lot of cases, there are teams that go out there like, past Colorado teams, and they just basically suck all year. And then there are teams that go out there and they'll win every single game they play, the Georgias of the world and the Michigans of the world. And they won't lose a single game in a season, and they'll look good in every single game. But most teams either start hot like we did last year and end and fade because they run out of talent. Their people get hurt. And the coaching has a hard time keeping up with the depth, and that's a problem. Or the opposite happens, like it did this year for Kansas, which is you start out terrible, and then you find your footing and you start to kind of gather yourself as a team. Coaching gets better, and you come up with a game plan, and you can break down film better, and you start winning games. And so that's what Kansas did. So, and that's football. We got beat by a 4-6 team, but we didn't play a 4-6 team today, guys. We played a team that beat 2 in a row ranked teams, and then now they added us to their list. So it's a shame for them, really, because if they had a decent beginning to their season, they could be playing in the Big 12 championship, and they could probably win and go to the playoffs, and they could probably beat some pretty good teams right now because they're playing really good. So, Dano says offensive coordinator is garbage. D says, can the haters stop? We are not blaming. We lost. Gennaro says, what is the scenario to get into the playoffs? Gennaro, we talked about that a little bit. I'm not sure yet. I haven't broken it down. Really, at this point, I don't think there is a clear path for CU until all of the games are played today. Then once all the games are played today, we can look at it again, and we can look at the tiebreakers, because there's going to be a lot of 2-loss teams in the conference, and see who plays who next week. The unfortunate thing is we are playing a team in OSU that doesn't carry any weight. So it feels to me at this point that it's going to be up to the other teams to lose in order for us to gain the Big 12 back. I feel like at this point that kind of is over. I'm just going to say it. I am not the rule maker. I don't know the actual scenario, but what I did know is that we had a lot riding on this game. And, but let's say we don't get, DJ says Pat Shurmur needs to get more creative. Pat, I'm sorry, DJ, I think that's an understatement. I don't know that it's necessarily Pat Shurmur too. Keep in mind that our offense is a lot of it is Shedeur, meaning that he calls the run pass option, like he was talking about in the Charlie Offerdahl score last week, where Charlie finally got his first touchdown. He said it was an RPO, and he was basically looking at Charlie and Huddle saying, hey, can you do this? Because I know I'm going to have a guy open. And apparently we had a guy open. He still handed it off to Charlie because we wanted to see if Charlie could get a touchdown, because the coaches had stated that they want to give Charlie an option in this, and he scores. So, but, Shedeur is always looking for the pass, because Shedeur is Shedeur. He's a good quarterback. He can put the ball anywhere he wants to, and we have really good receivers. So, so that said, Pat Shurmur in this setup, I'm not defending Pat Shurmur. I'm not saying that it's anybody's fault in this particular scenario. But when you're running this type of offense and you're running out of 10 personnel, like 99.9746999% of the time, your options are limited. There's not an extra blocker for Shedeur. There's not an extra blocker for the run. There's not an extra blocker for the screen. These things are things that we need to look at going forward when we change quarterbacks and we change the dynamics of the offense a lot. We're not going to have a Travis Hunter on our team, for that matter. So we could actually settle in and do what Kansas did today, which was spread the ball out a little bit more and use different formations in order to gain the yards needed to hold onto the ball. Okay. We're going to go into the one element at the end here. I'm not going to be on long, guys. Okay. But I want to go into the one element that lost us this game that we have been talking about every single game since the beginning of last year. Okay. And it is by far the one element that killed us, and it killed us big time today. It severed our throat, and we bled out all over the place, which is a pretty graphic thing, but you could just see it over and over again, and you saw it just rack up and rack up. We'll talk about it here in a second. Yo-Yo says, but as you said, 1-11 just a few years ago, the team has come a long way. Miss Peggy gets to a bowl game. There are a lot of positive things. In fact, I don't know that there's any negative thing about this season, guys. Okay, there's not. We didn't go to the Big 12 championship when we had the possibility to go to it. Cool. Got it. I am sick to my stomach because I was ready to go. I had my commitment in for tickets. I had the weekend off. I was ready to rip it. My buddy was going to meet me in Dallas, and we're going to have a good time. And that doesn't seem like it's going to happen. But at the same end, this will be a season that we'll never forget. And it's a building season too, because next year we have a new quarterback coming in. We figured out what we need to do. There's going to be some changes next year in the coaching, I'm sure, because some of our coaches are going to go on to bigger things, I'm sure. Just because, we had such a great season, they're going to get bought up, guys. They're going to get bought up, right? People are going to see Livingston and they're going to say, hey, you are a star. We want to take you and we want to make you a head coach somewhere. NFL might call for a DC. Who knows? Things we can't compete with is what I'm saying. All right. Because Colorado doesn't have, the lawn is green at CU, but it ain't green because there's a lot of money. Right. You know what I'm saying? So we ain't paying a DC to be head coach money. We're not doing that. So if we lose some people, I'm not saying we're going to lose these people, but if we do, it wouldn't surprise me because of the great season that we had and the great things that happens. So thank you very much for that comment. That was a tough out. The defense looked horrible. Yeah, the defense did look bad. I think that Kansas made us look bad. I mean, I'm gonna stick to that. Had nothing to do with the offensive coordinator. Still SCO buffs. That's right. Michigan won today, though. So no, let's see. Michigan won today, though. So one of my two teams won. Yeah, I'm a Michigan fan as well. So I'm glad Michigan is, hanging around, let's say. Hayden is not it. Hayden is having a tough season, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. At the beginning of the season, I think every single person in the universe was saying that Hayden was our guy, including me. But something happened. He got injured. He doesn't look like the same back that was at OSU. Some of that is scheme, guys. I'm telling you right now. Some of that is the fact that we don't intentionally run the ball. The offensive coordinator does not run design plays very often, and I believe that Hayden is a back that probably does best in those scenarios. Design runs for Hayden, I think he's a superstar. RPO, 10 personnel, find your way kind of back. I don't know. That doesn't seem to be his suit as far as what we've seen so far anyway. Now that's the CEO I know. LOL. Low says 9-3, great year. Thank you. Cattleman D says, I have him going 8-4 this year. So 9-3. That's right. A lot of people had him going 8-4. In fact, if a lot of people had him going 8-4 and got scoffed at, like people were like 8-4, what are you talking about? If you win 6 and go to a bowl, you should be happy. And now we're way past that. Gerard says, we already talked about playoffs here. Freddie D is in the house. I think we're going to be confident and didn't take Kansas serious. Freddie, man, I don't disagree with you very often, but I think that if our coaches didn't take them seriously, I would be very surprised because everybody in the world that has coach's ear, okay, said, hey, these guys just beat 2 ranked opponents in a row. Don't freaking sleep on them. Plus, you're not playing at home. And Neal and Daniels together are like 2 slippery snakes with oil on them, man. You can't even get a grip on them. You get them together in the same stadium, and their offensive line plays extremely well. And what about their defense? Dang, did their defense show up? Holy crap. Their defense, their secondary was not supposed to be all that great. But they turned out. I say all that great. They do have some good players. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But when you look statistically, you would think that we'd be able to throw on them, but we didn't. Highly disappointed linebackers and safeties played a terrible game. The secondary definitely was not looking awesome. They might be 8-4. They could be 8-4. I don't think they will be. I think we're going to beat OSU at home. This is a home game, guys. Don't get too excited about OSU at home. And, for those of you who want to meme me on this and throw that on Twitter after, maybe we suffer to Oklahoma State at the end of the year and have a back-to-back loss going into the end of the year, I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I think that we're going to show up confident. It's going to be Shadur's last home game. I think there's too many things on the line. Hunter's last home game. It's going to be a big deal, right? I don't think they're going to sleep for a second on this, guys. I think we're going to handle them. Cattleman D says, nah, Kansas wanted bowl eligibility more than the Buffs wanted a CFP and a Big 12 championship. That there is something to say there about that. They're fighting this next game for a bowl bid, and I mean that's a very good point. I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you. 4-6, you don't even think about it, but holy crap, this had to be the hardest get to 6 wins ever in college football with the way that Kansas is playing right now. Question: what do we need to happen to get into the playoffs? Gennaro, we just talked about that. I don't know yet. We got to let all the games play out today. I am not blaming. I agree so much. Team got better. The team got better than we thought. Yeah, that's right. Kansas was better. I don't know that Kansas was necessarily, well, yeah, I guess Kansas played better than I thought they would play. I thought they would play good. I thought that we would play better than we did. I thought Kansas's defense would not be as good as they were. And that is the game right there. Great year for Colorado. You just ran into a Kansas buzzsaw. They're a top tier Big 12 team, regardless of their 5-6 record. Yes. And I mean, just looking at last year, I mean, everybody knew that they were surprised that Kansas came out this year and kind of laid an egg early in the season. But then they got back to where they were last year, and they're playing good. They're playing good. Hayden is not it. There's a lot of Hayden dissension, guys. Just keep in mind that. Let's take a breath on that for just a second. Not saying that that's a bad comment, because I say everybody, there's a lot of people out there that believe that, when you look at Hayden's numbers and the way that he's running the last, well, name it, for the season, it's been rough. And Augustive has been doing better. But when you look at Augustive's numbers, they're better than everybody else. But if you look at them compared to what you would think, like the head rusher for a football team, the lead rusher for a football team would do, it's not even close, guys. It's not even close, right? So Augustive may be the best back we have right now with stats. But look at all of our running rushers. They're just not, it's not happening, and it's not them. It is not those guys. It is not Hayden. It is not Augustive. It is not Offerdahl. It is not Welch, even though Welch came in and showed some fire late, and I saw a couple of comments that said that if Welch had been in there early, maybe this would have been a different game. Welch shows that, right? He does. But we didn't do that. For what reason, I don't know, but we didn't do that. But even Welch this year, I mean, even in Welch in his games, he played well. But again, if you look at any other top tier college football team, we're not even close in our rushing yards, not even close in any of our rushing stats. So it is not the running backs. I'm telling you right now, it is absolutely not the running backs. Okay. It is not the offensive line. It is not the offensive line. Not N-O-T, the offensive line, right? It is the scheme. If you run 10 personnel, RPO, and if you watch those running plays, though a lot of times the line is not run blocking, the line is just blocking. And we're running off of a non-run blocking offensive line because it might be a pass, right? It depends on how Shador wants to read everything on the line. So these guys are already starting in the backfield, 6-7 yards, and then they're running off of defensive linemen that are already 3 yards in the backfield. So, and that's every single play, guys. It's hard to run in that circumstance. That is not a designed running play. It is not intended for us to be a running team at all. It is not. We said we do not want to be a running team. We said that, right? We said that with the way that we ran our offense. So sorry I got on a tangent there. It's a little bit of a rant. But I'm going to stick by these running backs because I believe we have some really good skilled running backs. And unfortunately, I think we're going to lose some of them in the portal this year because of the way that our offense was run this year. They want more shine. They want to be in, a different style of offense potentially. Now, that doesn't mean they will. I haven't talked to any of them. They're not calling Alpine saying, hey, I'm out of here. But at the same time, I know that Hayden wants to run the ball. He wants a 100-yard game for Pete's sake, right? Augustive wants a 100-yard game for Pete's sake. These guys want this stuff, right? And running backs that are coming to the University of Colorado, that's, through the portal or whatever, they're going to be saying the same thing. Is this going to be a running team next year? Shadur's moving on. We have Juju, right? What's Juju going to be like? What's our offense surrounded by Juju going to be like? Is it going to be a similar offense? Is it going to be a completely different offense? In my opinion, IMO, okay? I think it's going to be a completely different offense next year. I don't think it's going to be the same thing. I think it's going to be totally different. And I think it's because our personnel is going to be different. We don't have we don't have Shadur and we don't have Travis in the fold. So it's not the Shadur and Travis show when we get behind anymore. So I think that, will that help us? Will that hurt us? I don't know, guys. I mean, 9-3 is pretty good. Like, I don't know that you're hurting anything at 9-3, right? So, but it will be different. And if we decide to do, we could get into a playoff run, let's say next year, and we have a more balanced offense, maybe not just two players that carry the team, but like we have one of those teams that we have some really good skill players everywhere, and we decide that we're going to use every part of our offense. I think that we could make a deep run into the playoffs next year. I really do. I think our coaching is that good. Patricia, welcome. Rennie Branson. This season isn't over, dumbass. I don't know who you're talking to, whoever you are. I haven't seen you on this chat before. But I know you're not talking to me because that's specifically what I said. KU may be 5-6 now, but they were a top 25 team coming into the season. That's right, they were. Gennaro really wants to know this playoff thing. Let's see. James Matz. Buffalo didn't come ready to play at Kansas team that had something to prove, nothing to lose. Yeah, that's right. A 4-6 team that is good as they are. That's a really good comment. Dante S says, why even play Hayden? He gives no production. Freddie says the college scoreboard show said that the Big 12 champ could be out of the playoffs given the scenarios they just presented. That's crazy. Like, I didn't think that was possible because I thought that all Power 4 conferences had an auto bid. And I know that the auto bid could be a 12 seed because of where Boise State is. And if they're ahead of any one of the other Power 4 conferences in rank after they win their championship, then they would be Boise State or whoever that would be. It would be Boise State at this point. No one else would. If they got beat, no one else would fill that position except maybe Army. But when you look at that, they would be like the number 4 seed, and then the Big 12 would be the number 12 seed. So if they know something, they obviously know something I don't know. You can have an effective run game without a shotgun with the backs we have. D says, I will say Shepard and Shiloh will have a hard time in the draft if they even make it. That's a good conversation for another day. I'm going to actually put that down here. I don't know that we're going to talk about it right now because there's so much to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, keep in mind, guys, that we're still 9-3. These guys played really good this year. And I think that, we lost this game. Okay. So we lost it. We're not going to the Big 12 championship unless something else happens. Right. But we had a great season. We still have one more game left, and we have a really big bowl game. So they have lots of time to do lots of cool things on top of everything that's happened this year. And they're part of the University of Colorado, and they have Coach Prime and all of the other NFL coaches basically with phones going, hey, I know everybody in the NFL. I'm going to make some phone calls and say, hey, this guy's for real. This team is one of the few teams that can do something like that. So I don't think I'm going to go and answer that right now. Shepard, Shiloh, any of the seniors, anybody that's declaring for the draft this year, you're on the right team. You were on the right team. 9-3, coaches on your side. NFL hears you. They got megaphones for the NFL. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. If you can't do it at the University of Colorado, you can't do it. That's what I'm going to say. Colorado needs 2 of these 3 to lose to make it. Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State, probably yes. Speak to the physicality of the game. Okay, I'll speak to the physicality of the game. Kansas was very physical. CU is not very physical, not on offense and not on defense. I will say this, that probably the most physical player on offense that I saw today, well, I mean, probably the two were Travis and Shador. Shador, I saw fight in him today. I mean, anytime you see him running the ball, taking hits, things like that, he is trying really hard. And he tried really hard today. He gave it everything he got. I know he did. And I feel proud of him for doing that. There's obviously mistakes, which didn't help us too much. But when you're talking about fight, we didn't lay down. And that is a good thing. Defense didn't stop the run. For Colorado to make a Big 12 championship game, Arizona State has to lose Arizona next, and Utah must win tonight. I blame Shiloh, so timid, so slow. Thank you for the super chat there, Eric. Appreciate that. Shiloh has been different since he got hurt. It just seems that way. I don't think that he's playing poorly, but he looks like maybe he lost a step. His tackling is not. I mean, I don't know that his tackling has ever been like. I don't know that he's the best tackler on our team from the standpoint of form tackle. But it does seem to be a little bit off. I still would take him over a lot of other people in that secondary, though. We got manhandled on both sides of the ball tonight. The fifth-year seniors was the difference on the line. MJ says, for the record, I didn't LOL at the loss. It was the thanks for the season. No, that's what I meant. That's what I said, MJ. I know. It's funny. I know. I got you. Prep kept saying, stop the run. That's true. It was a battle to the point of attack, and were overwhelmed. Big Bell says, refs, too, they made sure the Buffs lost today. We can say that, guys, but we got benefited on at least one call that I saw that kept the what was that? The horse collar call at the beginning of the game was not a horse collar. But we got the benefit of that. So, I'm not a big refs lose or win it either way. I'm really not. There are so many opportunities in a game that the players can win or lose it that I don't know that the refs could really make that big a difference. That's my opinion anyway. They have a hard job to do, and it's hard to stay consistent. And some of these refs don't play together very much, or I should say, ref together very much. And I don't want to come out soft on refs because I know refs are easy to throw under the bus. What I'm saying is that there's so many opportunities as a team that we could win or lose the game that if we start blaming it on refs at that point, if I'm a coach and I was a coach, when I'm a coach and I want to start blaming somebody outside of myself and my team for my win or my loss, I'm not going to credit the refs for my win. I'm not going to say, thanks, refs. We wouldn't have won it without you, right? If I'm not going to do that, I'm not also going to say, thanks, refs. I appreciate it. We lost because you're a bunch of dumbasses. I'm not going to do that. It's going to be on my team. My team wins or my team loses, and that's the way it is. If my coaching is terrible, then I lost it for our team. If my quarterback takes too many sacks because he's indecisive, then I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that that's a problem. If the defense is soft and they're not really stepping up into tackles and wrapping people up, then I'm going to say that. But I think that's where it's won and lost, is the team and the coaching has to get it right. Our linebackers' worst game. It was not our linebackers' best game. I'm going to put it that way. Colorado Buffs number one fan says they can't keep differing to the second half, then going through. Yeah, no, I agree. And coach has said it several times in the pre-games and in the post-game conferences where we get off to a really slow start. And he even said he's trying to figure out with the coaches how we can fix that, right? We didn't fix it. We came out flat last day school and nonchalant. Why? Who knows? I mean, oh man. When I think about it, it makes my head hurt. So I'm not gonna go into it a whole lot more. But Shallow was terrible. Period. Ryan says Houston beating BYU and Kansas State beating Iowa State is the most likely path for Colorado. Yes, we need people to. We're back to relying on other people again. with one game left. So at this point, I'm deciding to be very happy that we're going to a nice bowl game, and we haven't done that for a while. Minus the COVID year, we have not done that in a while, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch. Will our players play in the bowl game? And most teams wouldn't, especially when they have really high draft candidates like we have. Coach Prime may be the decider there. Coach Prime, I mean, not he's going to decide for him, but what I mean is that those players may play in a bowl game if we don't make the Big 12 championship. Those players may play in the bowl game where they might not now, or they might not normally over the past couple of years because of Coach Prime. They want to show up for Coach. So that's going to be a different conversation for a different day when we know exactly what happens. It was smash mouth football. They ran it down our throat and they dared us to stop it. That's true. They did do that. We can't stop the run if we're not wrapping up our tackles. That's true too. Cattleman D says Buff's been spotted 10 plus points all year. Today it caught up to him. That's a great point. I'm going to go into that in just a little bit, Cattleman. If you think Shiloh, the problem, you never played football. So I have a tendency to agree with you on that one, Williams. It's I have a difficulty with Shiloh Sanders. I love him, and I think that he has huge opportunities at the same time. I love him because of his fight and his determination, and he wants to be the difference maker in the defense. And you see him around almost every play, okay, which is good. I love to see that. Same with Cameron Silman-Craig. You see him around the ball all game. The difference between the two, to me, is that Shiloh tries to rock people, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't work. And that, to me, is a difference maker in some games because, when you're the last line of defense and you don't wrap up, and someone scores on you, and you're seeing not wrapping up just because you're trying to knock them off their feet because you're a hard hitter. I don't know. That's an issue, right? Love the determination, love the fight. Wish the football form was there a little bit more. I'm just going to say that. Okay. Caller number 1 fan says Shedeur been running that tunnel screen all game. Yep. Ryan, Kansas is 7-3, 8-2 level team that has a 5-6 record. I agree with that completely. Kansas game planned our defense. That is true. Colorado has no chance at all to get to the playoffs with 3 losses. I don't know that. I'm going to say that I kind of feel the same way, that it's uphill, like way uphill battle for us at this point. So I'm not going to focus on that too much for my videos this week because we still have to win against OSU, and we got to have a lot of people lose in order to still be Big 12 contenders. But even more than that is we've got a major bowl coming up, and it's going to be fun. I would love to go to the Las Vegas Bowl. If we go to the Las Vegas Bowl, I'm there. I think that would be a lot of fun to cover. So I'm looking forward to that. That's what I'm looking forward to. This game for me was, if we got to the Big 12 championship, I was just going to be lights out. Like I already had my tickets committed, and already had the travel planned, and my buddies and stuff like that. And we're all going to go and have a boys weekend out there in Dallas. And that ain't going to happen, but could have a boys weekend in Las Vegas. I mean, who knows, right? A lot of you will be out there if we go to Las Vegas Bowl, if we don't go to the Big 12 championship. Pat has been a problem for all the slow starts. He hasn't had a good fit for Shedeur here. Yeah, Ryan, it could be it. Buffs ain't no playoffs team. Let's see. Should have taken the kickoff to start the game. Yeah, that's kind of a football thing. People like to coaches. I'm one of those guys too. I like to get the ball first. I know that in football you want to lay back a little bit and make the opponent's offense kick it out and figure out what they're going to do, and then you get it in the second half to start. But I'm also the same way. If I have an offense like we have, and I am, I am really wanting to get I want our offense to get out there first, and I want them to basically throw it down the throat and dominate and run down the throat and dominate and whatever it is, be the first score on the board. Regardless of what happens in the first series of the second half. So in any case, that's what I say. We need to root for Utah tonight. I agree. Travis is the only one. Travis is the only reason this was even a two score game. The rest of the team played poor. CU needs to come and win offensively and trust the faith of defense not consistent. Kansas would not beat a CFP team. They would not be able to dominate the line of scrimmage like they did tonight. Maybe not. But there are some teams that are going to be in the playoffs that I think Kansas could put up a fight against. I also think there's some people in the playoffs that we could put up a fight against. I don't think that this loss against Kansas was true to what our potential is. We change a couple of things in the game. We change a couple of how we're calling on the offense and the defense. Obviously, we would need to tighten that up quite a bit starting out of the gate. But at the same time, I think that, we were probably a little closer to winning this game than what a lot of people think, is what I'm saying. There's one thing that lost us this game. I'm going to say it right now because I told you I was going to say it later in the game. It is time of possession, guys. We've been talking about this all stinking year. I think out of all the games that we've played this year, we may have one time of possession, one time, maybe two times. Okay, that is a guess. Total wag. Okay, but I'm betting two times this year at best we won time of possession in games. And in a lot of these games, we were playing from behind, and that comes with losing time of possession. And it was gross this game, guys. Like, we had 19 minutes, they had 41 minutes. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, they doubled us on time of possession. They kept the ball away from our offense, and they made our defense like I was like the second to the last score. You were looking at our defense, man. They were freaking dying. Heads in the air, hands on the hips. They were getting their butts absolutely whooped out there for being out there for between 6 and 8 minutes of series. That is not good for a defense. There is not a lot of defenses out there that could withstand that over and over and over again. And not to mention that makes our offense cold, right? Our offense is sitting on the sideline for forever and they're getting cold. And that's a problem. That is a huge, huge problem right there. So that's what lost this game. I'm going to say it right now. TOP, time of possession. We should have been able to we should have been able to keep that time of possession on our side a little bit better. And if we had stopped their runs a little bit more, maybe held on to the ball a little bit, to allow our defense to get a breath, then I think our chances would have opened up a little bit. So that is my key to the game. Colorado will drop out of the CFP rankings for sure. Veins of Journey says. Gig Pro says, from here out, we need to go all out on offense, forget our defense. Guys, don't worry too much about our defense right now. We played a bad game, okay? We played a bad game on defense, or I should say that Kansas figured out our defense, okay, which is probably what happened more than playing a bad game. But we have played great defense this year, specifically the latter part of the year. And it just happened. It just happened, right? It happened. Can't do anything about it. Doesn't mean the defense is weak. I still believe if we were to play this game again next week, that we would probably win this game. But that doesn't mean anything because that will never happen. So that fourth down play, what was that? Yeah. So guys, yeah. That I don't know if it's the fourth down that you were talking about, Dante S, but the one where we tried to run it twice for 1 yard and we couldn't get it either time. I was screaming at the top of my freaking lungs that we needed to pump that ball, because things were just not going our way. And part of game management is knowing when to fold them and start over again. And in this particular case, that was that play. But I know that new rules of football have 4th and 2 on the blah, 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 and you go for it every time kind of thing. I get that. I understand. But it just didn't seem like we were at the point with our running game to where that made sense. And did that play lose the game? No, I don't believe it did. So I think it's just a moot point, but it's just one of many things that, as you add them up, leads to difficulty to win a game, right? Hellcat Black says, how about the refs? Thoughts on that? I stated earlier, Hellcat. Maybe this was. I think I'm way behind in the chat, but yeah, I'm not really big on blaming refs for things because I don't know. We did a lot to ourselves. I think the refs were just part of it. We actually got a play that called in our favor for the refs. So I'm going to go all the way to the end of the chat real quick, guys, and get some of the newer chats. Kevin Hall is in the house. They did the only thing they were strong at, so we need to throw it like them. See, that was Kevin. Daryl says, see you talent, not schemed up. David said penalties hurt us tonight. I think we had 85 yards in penalties or something like that, which isn't like the worst we've had, but it isn't good. And I agree with that statement. KU Center was big and has as two CU players alone. They did have some big players. Or what is that? Artiste, MJ. Ancient One says they need to look for a running back in the portal. Ancient One, I'm sure we will, because I think we're going to lose some of our running backs. I'm just gonna say that, and it isn't for any other reason than running backs want to run, and we don't run, or at least we didn't this year. We might convince them that next year will be a little bit different, and maybe we'll keep a few of them. But every time we've said this, every single time we've said this, we've gotten what I would consider and what everybody considers to be a better bevy of quarterbacks. So, sorry, a better bevy of running backs. So I'm not going to get real up in arms about it. I would love to keep what we have, because I think with Welch and these other guys, I think we have a really good, solid core. We just need to scheme the run, and that's what it comes down to. We're not scheming the run, and it's the same as having really like world-class wide receivers and having a quarterback that doesn't know how to throw the ball. They have to be set up for success. The routes have to be right. The quarterback has to know where they're going. Quarterback has to get the ball to him at the right time, in the right place, know how they like to catch the ball. There's so many different things there. And if the quarterback and the wide receiver don't have a connection like that, then the wide receiver is not going to be a good wide receiver. They could be the best wide receiver in the nation, but they're not going to be a good wide receiver on paper because there's no connection there. There's no training there. There's no practice there. And so everybody loses in that scenario. That's how I feel our running game is this year, is we probably practiced runs in practice, right? We did not practice, in my opinion, it doesn't look like in the game anyway, that we intentionally practiced enough in the designed run with multiple looks that would actually help us get our running backs into the secondary. Okay. And the reason why I say that in practice is because we never saw it in the game. So that's the reason why I think that. I think that when you don't practice that, you don't execute that way. If you don't practice between the quarterback and the wide receivers enough, then the chemistry is off and everybody looks like they don't know what they're doing, when the reality is we probably have some really good players. Kevin says, all we do is keep throwing the ball, even on fourth down. That's true. Best Man says, I do want to slap Shepard for his lazy efforts on catches. Best Man, you're getting saucy. He has too much physical talent to have the drops and lack of offensive aggression at the point of catch efforts. So I'm gonna parlay on that a little bit. I'm gonna expand on that just a little bit. Shepard is an anomaly to me. His last game was so unbelievable, right? This game was a little lackluster, but honestly, if you look back and you watch these throws, they're not the best throws. He was short thrown a couple of times. I don't know that it's necessarily Shepard's laziness as much as it was just the circumstances. Shador was running for his life because he was holding on to the ball a lot. Kansas was getting deep behind the line and making Shador have to hustle. And sometimes it works out for us, and sometimes it doesn't. This time it didn't. So I don't know that I would hold any of the wide receivers accountable for this, but then again, I have to look at the tape to find out. You want possession time? Learn to run the ball. Bipolar Punt says, never said better. Bipolar. Ancient One says, Buffs didn't have a running game that they can count on, so they are one dimensional. This makes it easier for opposing teams to defend. Yes, I agree completely. And in this one, we got exposed on that. We got exposed on that. Let's see. What else do we have here? Even the announcer said it's like ping pong now. Yeah, I get it. Let's see. David Watson, time of possession comes only with a running game. Not tonight. That's correct. And time of possession doesn't always have to come with a running game. It can come with basically it's as long as the ball doesn't hit the ground, you can manage time of possession. So if you're talking screen passes, you're talking digs and things like that are really high percentage passes, that could be part of time of possession, which is what Kansas was doing. Kansas wasn't just running the ball; they were throwing the ball too. They had a lot of really good like halfback passes, screen passes, things like that worked out in their favor. So they had a lot of small tight end routes, really short tight end routes, which worked out really well for them. That keeps the ball. That keeps the clock running, guys. It does. Now, would I rather it be a running attack? Absolutely, I would. But that's not who we're built on right now. So, but even with a passing quarterback or a passing offense, as it were, we could still eat up that clock with high percentage passes. And they either Kansas didn't give it to us, which is very possible. Looking at their defense, they were swarming that center there, or we weren't designing the run or the passes to go there. Why every time we get on a high, we play someone who rams it down our throat with zero resistance? Ty, holy crap! You came in with a vengeance on that one. KU just schemed a great offensive strategy with time of possession from blocking and power runs from Neal. That is 100% true. Kevin Hall says it wasn't time of possession. Kevin, I don't know what you mean by that. Why don't you throw another comment in there so that I can better understand what you're saying there? I'm going to go to the end here and see. It's okay. Only lasting feeling is hope we still get the bowl game. We're going to get a bowl game, Kevin. This game was a humble game, but the refs, refs. Refs are, if you leave it to the refs, we're going to lose every time. No disrespect, but Colorado doesn't belong with the big dogs. It would be very embarrassing playing a legit physical team. You know what, man? If we had an opportunity to go to the playoffs and play a team and get delaminated like OU was delaminated in almost every semifinal game in the late 20 teens all the way to the 2020s, then I'd be okay with that. Just the fact that we got to a national stage and we got to kind of show what we wanted, I would be okay with that. If you said, hey, you're going to lose by 30 points in the national championship, would you rather go or would you rather not go? What, are you kidding me? Of course I want to go to the national championship game because any one thing could change it. Any one thing could change it. Let's see. What else do we have here? Kansas was just a solid team. They beat 3 ranked teams in a row. Yes, that is absolutely true. Let's see. I got one from Jared here. Let me see if I'm going to post this. If CU fans hadn't become... Oh, you know what? I'm going to highlight you. Jared, yeah. So Jared seems to me to be a troll. But let's look at this. If CU fans hadn't become some delusional and cocky recently, I may feel sorry for them, but all I can do now is laugh. Frankly, I don't care who comes out in the new Pac-12. They don't deserve. I don't even know. All right, so Jared, first of all, who is your team? And second of all, Colorado is likely going to be 9-3 this year and going to a major bowl. So I don't know what your laugh emojis are all about, because there are very few teams that are in that category right now, my friend. And this was a team that was terrible 2 years ago, and people discounted us last year for even winning four games. So obviously, you don't know what you're talking about, but thanks for playing. Shepard is a cradle catcher, doesn't use his hands. I definitely think that he has some opportunity there. Alex says this one game out of 11 was bad. Colorado will regroup. It was a team loss all the way around. They will be okay. Yeah. So Alex, let me jump on your positivity for just a second. We're gonna jump on Alex's positivity for a second. All right. So next week we go out at home, okay, and we beat OSU, and we have a great game. Everybody gets their stats, whatever. It looks really good on national television, and we finish off the season for our seniors at home in Folsom on a high, 9-3. Coach Prime carried off the field. All of these great things, right? What a great magical story. Just an awesome year. Then we go to a bowl game. We play in the Las Vegas Bowl, and we play the likes of, name an SEC team that you like, right? Which is what it comes down to. It just depends on who's left at this point. But it could be anybody. It could be any SEC team. That's who we'd play in the Las Vegas Bowl. We go out there and we beat the likes of Ole Miss, okay, which is what I predicted 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, see you, Ole Miss, in the Las Vegas Bowl if we don't go to the Big 12 championship. Let's say we play Ole Miss. I think they have to lose again in order to go to that game. But let's just say that for instance, okay? And we beat that SEC team, Ole Miss or whoever it is. We just finished out the year 9-3 and beat an SEC team in a playoff game. Oh, no, sorry, not a playoff game, a bowl game. Come on, guys. Tell me anyone out there that's going to tell me that is a bad season. Tell me. Somebody in the chat who isn't Jared, a troll, tell me that that's not a freaking phenomenal season. So let's say we don't go to the Big 12 championship, guys. There's still a lot of time left. There's still a lot of awesome things left in this Colorado season that is going to end up as the legacy of Coach Prime, and a positive legacy nonetheless, right? So, and if we have all of the players playing in that Las Vegas Bowl against Ole Miss or whatever it is, and of course, this is just conjecture, right? And they come back and they play when they don't have to for their coach and their dad, and we win against an SEC team. Holy mackerel. It's a story of a freaking lifetime, guys. I am so stinking excited about this season. Even though we lost, there are still some positive things that could happen out of this thing. Stop it. They had their biggest crowd of the game was entertaining. I don't know who you're talking about. I'll have to go back in the chat a little bit and see. Need Iowa State to lose. Let's see. This hurt. Okay, so someone says, what is that? Mixilifix says, this hurts more than Nebraska, but still a fire season. Yeah. I don't know. Does it hurt more than Nebraska? I don't know. I'll think about that one for a minute. Big 12 might as well disband terrible football. I don't know. Every conference is playing questionable football right now. Bear Alexander is coming in the portal. True, but then Bear Alexander will leave in the portal. So I don't know. I'm not a big Bear. I was a big Bear Alexander fan at the beginning. I don't know where I sit now. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be stupid. If Bear Alexander wants to come to Colorado, I'm going to wear my Bear Alexander shirt, right? My jersey. I'm going to get my jersey out. Because we really need to replace some players that we're going to lose this year. And man, what a great season, guys. Y'all understand how happy the hater is that has been waiting for this moment. Big Bell, if there's haters out there that are hating Coach Prime at this moment, he's probably just going to sit there and smile and go, y'all, we're 9-3. There are teams last year that played in the playoffs that aren't 9-3. So what are you talking about? Kevin Hall says, exactly, Alpine. Tell him we are proud. Carday is committing. Yes, Carday is committing. Jared, go back to Subway. Yee, that was good. That is good. But we use Jared for our own fodder, guys. I don't mind. I don't mind trolls because sometimes they make our point for us, and and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's not fun to eat your own. It's fun to eat somebody else's. We'll be back, boys. Just played a bad game. That is true. Just one bad game. Um, if this was earlier in the season, we wouldn't even think anything of it. They believe their run game while heartedly insisting on instead of punting. Oh, I'm sorry. They believed in their run game while heartedly instead of punting. Best man says, love your show, Alpine. Thank you for providing a safe CU space to vent. You are welcome, guys. I am happy to be here. We are having fun. They didn't tackle, end of story. We should average 20 attempts a games. Kansas got a 15-yard. What is that? Yeah, Kansas got a 15-yard horse collar, and his hand was. I know, bipolar. I know. It's officiating. It's one of those things. We gotta call too. That benefited us. No, we need to be ruthless, not pointing because we are on the field. They couldn't stop our pass like we couldn't stop their run. True. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to take a couple more comments and then we're going to get out of here. What must happen to make a championship game? I don't know yet, guys. We will see what happens after this week and see what we got to have happen, but a lot has to happen and it's not in our control. That's all there is to it. We obviously have to win against OSU at home, and then everybody in the world has to lose, let's say. All right. And so that could happen. This has been a weird season. Like we could be talking about not going to Texas for the Big 12 championship game right now today. And then tomorrow we could be talking about the fact that our chances are really good going to the Big 12 championship. I don't know. I don't know anymore, guys. I'm just happy about our season. That's what I'm saying. All right. That is a wrap from Alpine Garage Sports. If you guys haven't already, subscribed, hit that little subscribe button. Looks like a red pill, right? Red pill yourself and hit that button. And let me know that you liked it by hitting that like button. I would really appreciate that. Every little bit helps, and I want to continue this growth of this channel. I'm going to be investing more time in it when I have more time. This is my busy season right now in my business, so I want to be on here as much as I can with you. But at this point, it is back to work. So thank you for hanging out with me today. We will see you in the next video. And remember, we are 9 and what am I saying here? Holy crap. We will be 9-3 this year. We will be 9-3, and we're going to a major bowl. Thank you very much, Coach.